Koraidon has a huge issue in Regulation G, and it's about time we talk about it. Now, I've mentioned this before, and I will say it again. Koraidon is not as good a Sunsetter as Groudon, which is unfortunate because it's Regulation G. It's the first time that we're actually able to use the box legendary Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet, that being Koraidon and Miraidon. And Koraidon being able to set the Sunny Day and also during Sunny Day have an increased attack boost. Very, very cool Pokemon. Very cool indeed. However, the issue with this is that unlike Miraidon that sets the electric terrain, Miraidon really doesn't have a Pokemon in the game that does the same thing as it and does it better than it, right? So Miraidon's only real competition as far as electric terrain setters go would be something like Pincurchin, because Tapu Koko is not currently in the game. And this leaves Miraidon in a really powerful position to kind of fill that role very effectively, versus Koraidon sets the sun. There are a lot of valuable Sunsetters in the game currently. Torkoal's been around since the beginning of the game. We now also have access to another restricted legendary Pokemon that also sets the sun, and that being Groudon. And the way you're going to play these Pokemon is you're going to fill very similar roles with them, right? You're going to play Koraidon and Groudon, and you're going to run them with a lot of Paradox Pokemon, like Fluttermane, like Raging Bolt. You're going to run these Pokemon together because they're proccing the photosynthesis boost, allowing these Pokemon to thrive more effectively. You may see like a Venusaur pop up here and there as well to give that chlorophyll boost. And that's really what you're going to see a ton of out of these particular teams. You're going to see them pairing with these chlorophyll users, with these sun abusers in the form of the past Paradox Pokemon. And they are going to kind of be that support tool while also being big offensive threats themselves. And I think that this both are good Pokemon. I don't want to get it twisted. I just think that because of a particular circumstance, Groudon is significantly better than Koraidon. And I've had this opinion for a long time. I've had this opinion in my tier list video. I've had this in multiple other videos that I've talked about the different Pokemon in Regulation G. And I've gotten a lot of crap in my comment section regarding this. A lot of people really think Koraidon is goated. But there is one glaring issue with Koraidon in the format, and that is this right here. If I delete everything else, what remains? Fluttermane. Fluttermane is the worst part of Regulation G for Koraidon. It is the single worst thing for Koraidon as far as picking this as your one restricted Pokemon on a team in Regulation G. Why is this? You are a dragon fighting type. This is not a good typing when one of the #1 Pokemon in the format is a fairy type. Not only is it a fairy type, it is also a fairy type that is boosted by the sun that you are setting. That is absolutely horrible in the form of Koraidon. You are essentially setting up your biggest threat to KO you, and you are forced to Terrasilize, whether it be to Terra Fire, whether it be to Terra Steel. You are forced to Terrasilize this Pokemon if you are bringing it into a Fluttermane matchup. And that is really, really sketchy when this is the only restricted Pokemon that you could put on your entire team. It's really awkward. On top of this, not only are you having issues being, threatened by a Fluttermane, you're also sharing a typing with a lot of some of the better Pokemon that you can use in the regulation. So like Raging Bolt, you share that dragon typing, you have that issue. If you wanted to do a Gouging Fire Howl team, you're sharing, and you're gonna have to Terrasilize, like I said, because Fluttermane exists. You're gonna have to Terra Fire, Terra Steel to resist that Fluttermane, and you're now going to be weak to both a ground type, or you're gonna be weak to rock type. That's an issue, right? Another Pokemon that you share your typing with is Walking Wake. Walking Wake is something that likes to abuse the sun, and I think that this format is the format that Walking Wake could actually see some viability. And Koraidon really has issues with this because, again, you share that typing. And yes, you can Terrasilize away from it, but it is forcing you to Terrasilize on Koraidon to not share that weakness and not just get bopped by a Fluttermane. So it's just a very awkward Pokemon as far as the role it serves on a team when there is another option that doesn't have this issue in the form of Groudon. Groudon's also a very powerful physical attacker. Both these Pokemon, powerful physical attackers. Koraidon, obviously the faster option, with Groudon having a bit more bulk to it. But Groudon, having the ground typing, not having to worry about a Fluttermane one-shotting it after you set the sun, is really, really powerful in the terms of being able to be that Sunsetter in the format. You can play this with, you know, Raging Bolt and not share a typing. You can play this with a Walking Wake and not share a typing. So there's a lot of benefits to Groudon that Koraidon just doesn't have. And I think the biggest one, personally, is being able to run this next to a Gouging Fire. I don't think Gouging Fire is a very good partner for Koraidon. I think it'll show up. I don't think it's good because, like I said, when you're forced to Terra into a Steel type or a Fire type, you are sharing that common weakness with Gouging Fire. And it just puts you in a very awkward position as far as your type disadvantages go, especially with Groudon being such a good Pokemon. It's going to pop up a lot on Sun teams in the format, and having something like Precipice Blades on the opposite side of the field with two, you know, Fire types or a Fire and a Steel type really puts you at a disadvantage. So I think that for that reason, Koraidon is a little scary next to the Gouging Fire specifically. And this isn't me coming in here to just trash talk Koraidon. I don't think Koraidon is a bad Pokemon per se. I'm just addressing the fact that this Pokemon has glaring issues when there is another option in the format that can kind of serve the same role and do it just a skosh better. I still think this Pokemon will see play because the boost on its attack stat is very nice. You can run this with the Clear Amulet, and that's a pretty solid combination for this particular Pokemon. It also, you know, pairing with other Pokemon like Venusaur, I think could be very valuable as well, and possibly be the solution to the Terra Sync issue that you're having going into Fluttermane matchups, you know, because your Venusaur could, do you outspeed Booster Fluttermane? That's the question. I don't know 100% certainty if you do. I lied. Even Venusaur is not the solution to this issue, because even if you are running Chlorophyll, Max Speed, Timid, Venusaur, you're still not going to outspeed that booster speed Fluttermane that exists in the Sun. So I thought for a brief moment there that this might be a solution, but it's not, which just kind of furthers the point of this entire video, that Koraidon is just kind of hurting itself by its way of setting up the past Paradox Pokemon. But I do think you'll see stuff like Koraidon with Venusaur pop up. I would be interested in seeing if they do something like maybe Hisuian Lilligant. What's Hisuian Lilligant's speed? I think this could be maybe something that could be valuable. Hisuian Lilligant might be your answer. For the Fluttermane matchup, this could be your potential answer. Again, the issue is, looking at this, you're sharing that typing once again. Everything that benefits Koraidon, you're sharing a typing with, and that's really, really not good. What's the other Lilligant speed? All right, 90, and what's Venusaur's? 80. Let me max this guy out, put this at level 50. Let's see what we got. Hold on, let's see what we got. This is going to be a Timon. That might do the trick. You could potentially do this. It's just awkward. It's just an awkward Pokemon to have to build around. But this could potentially be the trick here, because that puts you at 312. Fluttermane, I believe it's never running max speed, and you're only getting the 1.5 times boost rather than the double boost off the Photosynthesis. So Lilligant could be your solution to the Fluttermane matchup. It could save you from a Terastallization, but you're also banking on a 75% accurate Sleep Powder. So that is also the issue at hand with using a Sleep Powder coverage for saving Koraidon from having to Terastallize. So even this answer isn't foolproof. It's a little scary. It's a little scary. So yeah, there are options to dealing with the Fluttermane match. We found it. We found the one option, but again, with one of the options, you're sharing that typing with Koraidon once again. So if you miss your Sleep Powder and they throw out a Dazzling Gleam, you're cooked. And if you, I mean, if you're using just the Grass Lilligant, you are relying on, again, that 75% accurate sleep. And it's just tricky. It's just a tricky scenario with this Pokemon. So I think there are options for this Pokemon to succeed. I think they are very limited by what this Pokemon does and the other powerful Pokemon in the format. So those are my thoughts. Again, I wanted to make this video very quickly just to talk about this particular Pokemon, because a lot of people have been, like I said, talking about it in the comment section on my videos on why Koraidon is better than Groudon. And I wanted to make a video discussing this particular matter at hand. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, but that is going to be it. If you're not already, sub for more videos like this in the future, and be sure to check out the Discord and share Reg G teams if you want them featured on the channel in the future. But until next time, peace.